Jib up, winch down. Jib down, winch up. Float the hook out, bruv. Float the hook out. Dell's Rigging and Crane Tips, a 2020 yeah. Now look, I'll pose this question, all right, in regards to jib down, winch up. Now, I hope you're comfortable on your couch if you're watching on your TV at home, or if you're on your phone because you're flat out looking at your outrigger, you got nothing on for 2 hours. But this is a question. Is jib down, winch up necessary? Is it necessary? Now, if you want my opinion, all right, for what it's worth, probably nothing. Probably thinking, bro, what would you know? That's all good, you know, and I don't know everything. Let's get that out of the way too. I don't know everything. I learn new things every day on cranes. Some dude would just come along like, did you know that? I'm like, nah. I'm like, far out, you know. 15 years down the track, I still don't know everything. And that's a good way. That's a good thing. That's a good attitude to have. But is it necessary? I don't think so. I think 90% of the time, it's not necessary. And I think where it comes into play too is new green riggers, if you're listening, if you like this channel, it comes out in you guys because it's a good combo. It's a good novelty. Jib down, winch up, bruv. Yeah. I'm doing it, man. I'm doing it. I'm building Australia. Jib up, winch down. Yeah, bruv. Yeah. I got the combo going. I'm competent. This is what the pros do, isn't it? This is what the pros do. And you're thinking, yeah, bro, built all of Brisbane, bro, 20 years experience, jib down, winch up. But the funny thing is most of the time it's not necessary. Most of the time it just adds another thing to the crane operator. And if your crane operator's old school, you know, his best coordination days are over, you know. He's just doing these hip-bearing dance moves at the RSC. What's the club? What's the Anzac clubs called? RSAs. That's it. Yeah, sorry, man. Too much cones as a teenager. But at the RSAs. So he hasn't got coordination, and then you just add in something to it that is pretty unnecessary. Now, in this video, I'm just going to give you a few pointers on if you do use it, what to do, and then something that you might not know as a green operator, all right? So, first of all, if you're on a franner or a trackie, like a track crane on tracks, crawler, they call it, most of the time, if you need them to jib down, winch up, or float the hook across, you can use their travel. So on a franner, if he's got room, travel him. Tell him to drive forward, and it will come, and it's going to stay at the same height, so it's going to come across easily. If you're on a track crane, a crawler, if he's got the room, travel him forward or travel him back. That's another option, and then it takes it out. It takes it all the way out. Now, if you're on a slew crane where you can't travel, or if you have to do it on a franner or a crawler, if they can see, this is the thing. This is the thing that your green riggers got to know, is it all depends if they can see the hook. So if I can see the hook, this is my hook. If I can see it, I can perfectly float it across, all right? Because what I do personally is I line it up with something in the distance. So say like a cloud or the top of the fence line or a pole or something like that, and I'll just keep it at that same height as it floats across. And that's good because I can see it. Now this is where the drama comes in, bruv. This is where the drama comes in. Is if your crane operator can't see his own hook, he doesn't know how fast the winch is going. So it's all on you, man. So one of the common things that happened is if I can't see my hook and I've got maybe an inexperienced rigger, or he just doesn't know, he's never been in a crane. If I can't see my hook, what happens is they go, I need you to jib down, winch up a couple of meters. And then I'll start, and I don't know how fast my winch is going. So I'll jib up, and I'll winching down too slow. And then he'll be like, stop, stop. He's like, look, I need you to float it flat, man. And I'm just like, I can't actually see what I'm doing, you know? Or you're jibbing up and you're winching down too fast. And so that's where it comes onto you. And so this is what I do. This is the tip, all right? If he can't see his hook, he's blind, and I want him to jib up, winch down perfectly, float it back. What I do is I go jib up, winch down, and as he's jibbing up and winching down, if he's going too slow on the winch or too fast on the winch, I just tell him. I go a little bit slower on the winch, and then he'll slow it up. A little bit slower. All right, that's perfect combo. Keep going, another 2 meters. And then that tells the operator his winch speed perfectly as he's jibbing up. Or if he's jibbing down, winching up. You can just tell him, just a little bit faster on your hook speed. A little bit slower on your hook speed. And then you get him right and you say, yep, that's a good combo. Keep it going like that. All right? And if you do that to a crane operator, he'll be like, man, cheers, man. You're making me look good, and therefore I'm looking good. We're all looking good. And everyone on site's like, oh, look, man, did you see how he done that combo? Like for 4 meters? Like perfect. He can't even see the hook. Bruv. And then you're like, yeah, bro. Dale's ringing the crane tip, so yeah. But anyway, so that's it. So most of the time, man, it's not even necessary. So what I do is, if you're on a huge platform above and he can't see what he's doing or something, just winch him right up. I just say, come up on your winch, man, just all the way to the top and start jibbing down. As he's slewing around, or if you've got a slewer right, and just start jibbing down. And then you know that all he's got to worry about is to jib down. And as soon as he gets to the point, down on the hook, down on the hook. All right? There's no actually point in you floating him unnecessarily all the way, man. It's just unnecessary. If you can winch him up to the right height where you can sort of roughly know that he's going to get to you without hitting the deck, then just do that. It's far easier. And I know, because inside you're like, you want to do the combo, man. You want to be competent. That's the combo, bruv. Look, you're looking around. Yeah, I'm doing the combo. But it's unnecessary. Now, say we're going into a load, all right? Now here's something, because, sometimes you want to use it, or you've got a good reason to use it. Now, just an example, say the crane's on this side, and you've jibbed him over, and he's got to get this motor, or whatever it is, into the sleeve. See, there's a little sleeve on this? He's got to get it into the sleeve. So you needed him to jib up, winch down into the sleeve. So there's certain ways you can do that nicely without fucking anything up. All right, and this is how you do it. So if I was in that situation, I'd jib him up, and then I'd hold him, and then I'd winch him down, and then I'd jib him up a bit, just till it touches the sleeve, and then I'd winch him down, just till it passes the lip, and then it sort of goes in, and you can push it the rest of the way. Now, I don't like having anything on push. So if you can, if this is quite hard, which usually things are when you've got to put it into a sleeve, I'll just jib him up, and I'll touch it like that, and I'll jib him up a little bit extra, all right? So it's like that. And then when you winch down, it comes down, and once you pass that top lip, boom, it goes into place, and you can put the bolts through. And it's way better, because the danger is you start jibbing up, winching down, and try and get him to place. He doesn't know his winch speed, and once it gets under that sleeve, he could put 3 ton on the jib up, or he could be winching down too fast, and on the bottom sleeve it takes too much weight, and it's uncontrolled. And we don't want uncontrolled, man. We want to used to look like a superstar. So if you can, which won't damage big motors, or it won't damage anything, this example is one example, but yeah, you can actually jib it up a little bit over, and then winch down, and then it falls into the sleeve, and that's another thing. But if he can see the hook and the load, then that's all, he'll be able to see what he's doing. He'll be floated in correctly. He can see it. But if he's blind, that's when it's all on you, man. It's all on you. It's not on the crane operator, it's on you. It's on you to tell him his winch speed if you're not putting it into a sleeve. So if he's if he's not winching down fast enough, you've got to tell him to winch down fast enough. Or if he's if he's winching down too fast, you need to tell him to slow up so you float it over. So that's the scenarios. When I was in construction on the Gold Coast, one of the things we have to always do on construction sites is put jib board packs into the building on top of the, into a level, and so you got to put half the jib rock packs on pallets, half of it or most of it into a level on the landing deck, and so, you need to jib down, winch up, and get it as close as you can, and so that's an example of doing it, but all of the times I was doing that, I could see the load. So it's just that much easier, and it looks good, and you can just keep it level. So that's the thing. So is it necessary? Are you doing unnecessary stuff? And I think it's completely unnecessary most of the time. All right? Sometimes, you have to use it. But just like the tips I just showed you, it's just like, have you ever been in a slew crane and your chains, you've got the whale tail hook bone, the ram's horn hook, so you got, you got to put the chains on each side, and usually you've got rings in a shackle if you're only putting on one set of chains. So what happens is most of my chains can just fit right on the hook. They don't need the 2 rings. But riggers come up and they straight away go for the 2 big rings in the shackle, and I'm like, hey, hold on, man. Those rings are big enough to fit on the hook without that stuff. So it's just unnecessary for you to put those big rings on with the shackle and put your chains on. Like, they already fit over. That's why we've got the big rings for my 10 mils. That's why we've got the big rings for my 13s. It's only when I have to use, my 16s have it and my 13s, but my 10s are a bit too small. So, is it necessary to put these big rings on? Can it just fit on the hook? Sometimes you get riggers who, it's just a 4-point lift and they put 2 chain blocks on 2 sides, and it doesn't even need it. You just bolt one side down when it gets down if it's on the piss, and then you lower it down, and half the time, and just naturally, you just see someone do it, so you're like, oh, that's what you do. And so you're just going off what you see other people do. But at a certain time of your life as a rigger, you have to start questioning stuff and saying, like, why do they do it like that when you could cut all that, cut all that unnecessary stuff out, And so after your first couple of years where you just want to get by and do a good job, and so you're looking at all the older guys or the senior riggers and you just do what they do just to get by, after that sort of period where you're really confident, start thinking about stuff, Is jib down, winch up necessary? Am I putting these big bull rings onto the hook for no reason because the chains can fit on each side perfectly? Am I putting chain blocks on for no reason? Does this really need shortened up? Classic one with people in chains, like when you're on the slew cranes. They hook up a load, you've got 70 metres of boom out, and they bring you down to shorten the chains up. And you're like, bro, why are we shortening them up? It's just going up on that. And for some reason in their head, maybe they've worked on a franner for a while, or maybe they've just seen people do it. They've got this thing in their head where they're like, oh, got to shorten the chains. It's like, well, just step back and just have a think about what you're doing. Do you need to shorten it? No, he's got 70 metres of boom, No, there's no reason, But anyway, Those are some thoughts. In the comments, bruv. In the comments. Is jib down, winch up necessary? Let us know your thoughts, man. Like these videos, subscribe here. Dale's Rigging Crane Tips, a 2020. Oh, yeah, yeah.